Welcome to all who are viewing from YouTube or on Zoom. We're here at the Maui College, and we're ably assisted by Deanna, who's been running interference with tech stuff, and other folks here have been helping us out, and we're very grateful for this opportunity to talk to you all at home about a topic that's near and dear to everybody's heart, which is our water resources. And my name is Lucienne Diné. Here is Scott Worden to my left. And we are both part of the team that put together what is called the Wikiwai. And Wiki, because it's, kind of a little bit of everything, like a Wikipedia, and Vi, because it's about our water resources. So we'd really like to thank those who sponsored this event. The Sierra Club Maui is a primary sponsor of this website. Maui College has been very, very supportive in giving us input and giving us this nice space to conduct our soft launch. And we're here today just to let people know that there is now kind of a one-stop shopping if you're looking for information about water resources on Maui. So I'd like to thank our team that put this together, most of whom are not here except for Scott and I, but Tara Apo Priest really helped bring this group together to make this idea reality. Scott has done a lot of the programming and posting and collating of the materials. Kamalani Pahukoa was instrumental in helping us get beautiful graphics together and gave a lot of input and is still involved in the project and designed our logo. Dr. Chris Schuler, who's with the Manoa Water Resources Center, has given invaluable suggestions and is very excited about turning his students on and other people at the college on to this one-stop shopping source for reliable data about water resources. Of course, I worked on it. I have collated a lot of these materials for years and years. They've lived quietly on my computer, and I'm just thrilled to see them put someplace where people don't have to call me up for a map or a report or whatever. I can just refer them to the wiki and say, check it out. And so that's who we are. That's what we're doing here today. And another member of our team, Raina Myers, has done our graphics for us and started out doing water monitoring, water quality monitoring for a Sierra Club program a few years ago. So here we are, and our team is growing, and we hope that some of you who might be watching tonight might end up being part of this team because there's a lot to do to get this kind of information out where it can be easily found and easily used. So I'm going to let Scott talk to you a little bit about how this website works. The first thing I do have to say, could we go to the next slide, is that the website right now is about East Maui and upcountry water. So it is not island-wide. There are some island-wide types of reports and maps and data included right now. We have 300 items posted, but we have a lot more to post. And we want to try to get most of what we have for the East Maui upcountry area all on the website, on the portal, and then go to work on the West Maui side because we have a lot of information and maps and useful data on West Maui. And of course, West Maui is like really a very important area for future water decisions right now, just like East Maui is. So this is mostly, if you click on the link, you will see a lot of stuff that has to do with East Maui and upcountry. But as this site progresses, there will be more. And we are our phase 2 goal is to have some things like a basic selection of good data for West Maui area, Maui Komohana, up by September of this year. So fingers crossed, and if we get a little bit of help posting stuff, that can happen. So Scott, you want to take us away with our next slide and explain how this thing works?
Sure. So first of all, the URL that you go to is right up there in the top, https wikiwai.org. And as Lucian said, the name here is motivated highly by Wikipedia, which I'm sure you've used. And Wikipedia is a great resource. I use it all the time. So I thought, why not just have a website, kind of like Wikipedia, but for water? So hence the name Wikiwai. So this is what you'll see on the home page once you bring up the website. And there's an FAQ, a set of uh, frequently asked questions about how to use it. So this we're going to go through a lot of these questions here tonight. Basically, how do you find a document? And for instance, let's say you have a stream near you and you want to understand more about the stream, get data on it, what its in-stream flow standard is, things like that. So if you're ever lost when using the Wikiwai website, you can always go back here to the FAQs and refer to them. So a little bit of the motivation for, why we put this website together. As Lucianne said, a lot of people need documents and quite often would go to Lucianne. And me, I did that a whole lot. And I came to realize that Lucianne has an incredible store of documents. And wouldn't it be great if we can get this up on the web so that we all can find some of these things? And, truthfully, most of the documents that we have up here on the Wikiwai website are actually available on other websites. For instance, the state has a couple websites, CWRM and DLNR, and the county has various documents on its website. But you have to sort of know where to go to find it, and it's not always guaranteed that those documents are going to be there sometime in the future when you want to go back and look to see, oh, what was that environmental impact statement from 1993 or something. So what we've tried to do is have as Lucianne was kind of indicating earlier, have a single place that is one-stop shopping, some website that you can go to and find all the documents that concerns Maui's water, East Maui right now, but hopefully all of Maui soon. So the other thing is that we don't just have links to the documents. We've actually downloaded the bulk of those documents, and they physically reside on our website. So if somebody, the CWRM, whoever in the future decides that they're tired of hosting documents, it doesn't matter. We're not linked to their documents. We've downloaded them and we have a permanent archive. So who is this website for? It's for community members who have questions about specific streams or wells, including public and private. So there are 40 some odd streams in East Maui that have been the subject of quite a bit of legal wrestling over the years. And if you happen to be a resident in one of these areas and are dependent upon that stream, perhaps, for farming, or perhaps use it for household water, or perhaps for recreation, then Wikiwai is for you. It is a place that you can go to find your stream and then find all the data that's associated with that stream. We have science reports, we have flow data, just a variety of things. A similar thing exists for wells also, although, we have very little access to private wells. So most of the wells that we're concerned with are the public wells that the county or the state drill in order to provide public water. Students or others doing research on our water could use this. For instance, if a student has an assignment to, I don't know, map out all the streams in East Maui. We have a lot of resources that would be useful for students to put together research papers on water. People who are impacted by decisions made by others concerning water want to know what's going on. This is a major focus for us because there's a lot of litigation going on and other sorts of legal wranglings over our water. And the public wants to be involved, and this is how I first got involved. I wanted to be able to have a voice in this and be able to help out, but I really needed to educate myself on what are the issues and what's the background and so forth. And this is a major focus for the Wikiwai website, is to have all those educational and background materials available so that you can understand what's going on, what happened over the last 10 years, and what court decisions have been made, and why were they made, and what holes are left in the decisions that were made.
Scott, if I can interrupt, in some
Yeah.
cases, you've made some nice summaries of those, right? So that rather than a person has to read 20 different documents, you can read a couple pages and know what those 20 different documents kind of cover.
Yes.
And, how it started, what happened in the middle, and what's happening now, which I think for students who are always pressed for time to, try to get information about things, that makes a lot of sense, is to have that, more Cliff's Notes version of how things are going on. So
Yeah, and
that's a real service, and more to come.
Yeah, and we're going to drill into that. I have a couple slides. That's the educational tracks that you're talking about. And I'll have some examples coming
Great,
up here.
great.
Anyone looking to get involved in the decisions made concerning water on Maui? So most of our public institutions, organizations that are heavily involved in governing water here on Maui they have to hold hearings for the public, and they have to take testimony from the public, and they have to respond to this testimony. So, the ability to get up and have your voice heard by these organizations is really a good thing for the public. But you need to have facts. You need to be armed with information to take to them, to bring up your questions or your objections. And, the Wikiwai is designed to help you kind of navigate that and put together your thoughts and concerns you have. Anyone looking for historical context? So this goes a little bit to what Luciana was just bringing up. We have some tracks that go back into the history and look to see, well, how did we get to where we are? And, what was happening 20, 30 years ago when some of the earlier decisions were made? And, how those legal opinions evolved over the years. So we cover that also. Oops. Oh, so I'm going to sort of walk you through the website. And here is a view of a particular part of it. But first, I want to draw your attention to that greenish blue ribbon going across the top of the page. And it has several items on it: resource library, stream portal, water news, top water issues, etc. That is the navigation bar that is always available throughout all the pages on the Water Wiki. And each of those is an important part of the Water Wiki. And so I'm going to walk you through just a couple of those today so you can get an idea. Resource library is one of the navigation items. And what you see on the screen here is what you would see if we drilled down into it. So by the way, we are not showing the website live today. We're just showing you screenshots. We were a little bit uncertain as to the ability to use the website within the kind of the webinar environment here. So we decided just to go with screenshots, and that's what you're seeing.
But we'll probably have
Right
some
here.
sort of future event maybe when we get a little more content on where we do a lot of clicking, we have some good internet and we do some clicking and people, people can click themselves and look for things. We hope to have some hands-on type of outreach over this next year is kind of in our plans, but this is just the beginning.
Yep. So the resource library, this is one of the main interfaces into our document repository. And, you know, what we try to do here is give people, you know, different people have different ways about finding things. You know, some people want to just type it into a search bar, and some people like to browse. And, you know, so we're trying to provide multiple ways to get documents that might interest you. So browsing is something I like to do. I like to find a topic area and just kind of look to see, you know, what's under here and what sort of things are available and see what pops out at me. So this is what the resource library has done. It's organized things under different major topical areas. So for instance, we have an organization for documents by issue. And this is for people who, you know that their issue that they're interested in. For instance, the 30-year lease is something that gets a lot of attention here in East Maui in particular, because it's a major legal sort of a wrangling point right now. So that's an issue. Another potential issue might be East Maui streams or stream restoration. So for those people who like to browse, you know, one possible way you could do it is by documents by issue, and then you could drill down into each one of these links that you see here, and you'll see a whole list of documents that are available within that subset. Another possible way of browsing is by category. So maps is one. The maps that Lucianne has and are now up on the Wikiwai have been a hugely beneficial resource. I mean, they're just great to look at because you can see visually how things relate to each other. You know, how the streams relate to the ditches that carry the diverted water into the irrigation fields in central Maui, and you know, where all the diversion points are and where the reservoirs are. And actually, these streams all have multiple other diversions that are largely private, but you know, there's some of the streams have a substantial number, so that's pretty interesting. And this is all visible with maps. So, for instance, on maps, you know, by the different categories, we have streams and ditches. The Maui Department of Water Supply System, which is pretty interesting to see how they take water that they gather from streams and wells and distribute it to the public. So it's, you know, it's quite interesting. A lot of people make assumptions about how upcountry water, for instance, is connected to central Maui water, and it's, you know, it's not all that obvious, but you can see it on these maps. Aquifers and wells is a very important thing to understand because of you know, our water either comes from streams or it comes from the ground through wells. So where are all these wells located and who's using them? And you know, it turns out Mahipuno has quite a few wells. And, they irrigate also from wells as
And
well.
we have a map of them.
And we have a map of them.
Several. So,
Yeah. Agriculture, geology, and meteorology, very interesting. If you like to kind of drill down and understand the science that's behind, particularly with the geology, because the geology really controls how the aquifer works and where the water flows. And meteorology, of course, is tremendously important because rainfall, all of our water ultimately comes from rainfall. Historical and cultural maps. Yeah, we've got some maps that, you know, go back more than 100 years,
Kingdom
120,
days.
130
Yeah.
years. And those are very interesting to see, you know, how things have evolved since that era.
They also have a lot of old place names for people who are researching, like, well, where do I live? What it used to be called? Some of these old maps have, along streams especially, some very specific place names that have just disappeared, except they're on a few old maps. And maybe in the deed of your property, and maybe in your grandmother's recollection.
So I'm not going to show it here on the screen, but I'll talk to this a little bit. So another category for people, another possible way that people can search for documents is to go by another category. So we also organize documents by source. So the possible sources could be county, and in particular the Maui Department of Water Supply. They're they create lots of documents related to water usage, and so they're a major source of documents. The DLNR and the land board, they control a lot of water, so they're another source. CWRM, the Commission on Water Resource Management, which is a state agency. That's another organizational mechanism that we use. EMI and Mahi Pono. We normally are not to EMI internal documents because of court orders. Well, actually, it's an order, I believe, from the land board. EMI is required to divulge some stuff to us, some data to us that they weren't previously doing.
And they put out a lot of things in the large EIS that they did too, which
Yeah,
most people may not even be aware it exists, but we've taken separate pages of it and posted it in different, so you can just not have to read 1,000 pages. You can find some good maps just, by click. Yeah.
right. USGS, they produce some great reports. They do really good work, and so we have a whole page with that is filled with documents that have come from the USGS. And then we have legal documents. So if you know about certain court orders or writs and appeals, some legal bearing letters that have been exchanged between entities, we organize all of those documents separately. Then we have miscellaneous documents, presentations that have been given by, there's a lot of contractors that are hired by the county to do research.
Yeah.
And we had their presentations all on up on our website. Luciana's given several presentations. So there's just a variety of those. Environmental reviews. Environmental assessments, environmental impact statements are really important for water because almost anything of any size, any major changes that occur within the water system, for instance, drilling a new well or 30-year lease is going to trigger the need for an environmental impact statement. So we gather all of those and store them up on the Wikiwai website. Research papers, photos, and shoreline access, which actually has nothing to do with water. So this is just kind of a repeat. This is what you would see if you brought up one of those organizations. For instance, if you're looking for maps and you are want to drill down into the different views that are available under streams and ditches, there's a little view of what that page looks like. Or government documents that are coming from the CWRM. This is a screenshot of that page also. And then environmental reviews, which we just talked about. So Stream Portal. So this is the next major navigation point on that ribbon going across the top there, that bluish green ribbon. So this is a pretty cool feature of the Wikiwai website, and this is it's another way to find documents, but it's very central about the stream name. So we have taken 44 East Maui streams, and that number comes from the DLNR, and the number of streams that they have diverted and those streams are under their control through the revocable permit process. So there's additional East Maui streams, but they generally do not have the legal focus. So all these streams on this page have a lot of legal focus, primarily through the DLNR and the CWRM. So what we've done here is we've organized all of those streams. So on the top here, Honopo, and then on the left-hand column is the stream name. So for instance, the top one is Honopo. And then you'll see a variety of documents listed to the right side of it. So many of these streams have a DAR, which is that
Department
Division
of
of
Aquatic Resources.
Yeah.
Stream studies. People went out and looked and see what kind of stream life lived in the streams
Yeah.
and made a study of it. And those are on one website, and then, other studies are on another website. This just makes it like, wow, everything's just right. If I'm interested in this stream, it's just right here. Bam, 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 bam in a row. So,
Yeah.
great work, Scott, collating all those things.
Yeah, so for instance, for Honopo, there's the aquatic report, which tends to be more environmental, and then the IFSAR, which tends to focus on, how much water can we pull out of this stream before we, are strangling the wildlife that is dependent upon it. The contested case, this stream was subject to a particular contested case.
Yeah.
So you can click on that link and pull it up and read it. Water quality data from HCA. HCA is another organization that Lucienne and I happen to be involved in.
Full disclosure, Haiku Community Association.
Yeah, Haiku Community Association. And it has a water quality program going on in Honopo as well as streams. So there's an easy link for you to get at the water quality data right here. And then USGS streamflow chart. Now, we've recently learned that CWRM also has a...
Commonly known as the State Water Commission.
Yeah, okay. The State Water Commission has gauges also, and we are in the process of adding links to those gauges. So yeah, that'd be very useful.
If you happen to live near one of these East Maui streams or visit one, there are a number of lifetime gauges that you could just see what was going on by knowing where to click. And our website makes it easy for you to know where to click. You could find this on your own, but it requires a little bit of searching online, and then you have to understand which agency is supposed to give you which data. This just makes it easy. You're interested in this word. This is everything that, or not everything, but this is a lot of stuff that you can find out just in one very simple location.
Before I move away from this slide, one further aspect of this page here is at the top, we give you access to a great map that this is your big colorful map.
Well, it was an exhibit in the contested case.
Oh, was it?
from 2014? Yeah, it's just everyone who was involved in the legal proceedings saw this map every day. It was posted up and everyone would point at it. But the rest of Maui doesn't even know it exists, so I think just having it posted on the website is very helpful. It's a bit outdated because some of the land ownership has changed. Alexander and Baldwin sold off some of the lands that are shown as they're owning at this time, at the time of the map was done. But it's very detailed and it's really good quality, and you can blow it up and just peer in on things really close up.
Yeah. And that ability to blow it up and really focus in on a small area is on the website. You just keep, kind of like Google Map. You just keep it in the plus sign and you get it.
Or you can download it to the privacy of your own computer and, make it big, small, whatever you want to, because they're all downloadable too. All these maps are downloadable. They're not just viewable there, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
You can view them or you can download them, which is a good point. Everything that is on the website here, except for when we have a link to somebody else's website, but everything that we host is downloadable. and without restrictions. So there's no license issues. You're free to copy it. Although the original people we got it from might, but we won't enforce any sort of
Well, for the
malicious
most part,
copy.
these are public documents.
Yeah.
It's just anyone who's ever tried to navigate some of these public websites, you know, you can really look for hours to try to find something. And then, oh, I remember, I have to go back and look under this category and then click this and then click that. And here it's just more logical. You're interested in, you know, a stream report, it's right there, you know, by that stream. So it simplifies research for anybody that's interested in water from the East Maui area and then eventually West Maui and Nava'eha. And we'll move on to as much of Maui as we can cover. We're not forgetting you, Hana. You're important.
Top water issues. So this is another part of the website that's available from that top navigation bar. I think it's the third one over. And these are the kind of the educational tracks where, you know, you have heard about something like the East Maui Water Community Water Authority, but you really don't know, you know, where it came from or what its current status is or, you know, what it's up to. So this is the purpose of the top water issues section is to provide, you know, educational and background material for people who are just trying to understand a topic and what's going on with it. And,
Yeah.
you know, when you drill into one of these, for instance, if you were to click on, you know, the East Maui Water Authority and go down and read the whole thing, at the bottom of each one, we have a further reading section, and which quite often is links to additional documents that we have in the repository that are germane to that exact topic. So you can drill in further if you like.
This is really a service to students because when you go to the public websites, you know, there's not a synopsis of these things. There's just a long listing of this date there was, you know, this study done, this date there was this study done, and you can download them. But the context of how they all fit together and, you know, why this all happened is not usually there. You know, occasionally there's like a couple of sentences about it, but Scott's done a wonderful job here of taking like kind of the key things that a person would need to understand and just making like an easy to read, you know, paragraph or two that it's just like you go, oh, that's why this is important. Okay, I'm interested in it. I want to look and find out more. And that's the point, you know.
So the, excuse me, the current top water issues we have are the East Maui Community Water Authority, revocable permits and the Carmichael decision, East Maui stream restoration, 30-year leases for the East Maui watershed, and the haiku groundwater and the 2003 consent decree. So we have those 5 available and up on the website now, and we have 3 others that are in progress.
Right.
Water quality, water meters, which is
Off country meter list.
yeah, it's a very hot topic for certain parts of Maui, in particular haiku and upcountry. And where does our water go? So this is something I hear a lot about. You know, people want to know, well, we have all this water and all this rain. So, you know, what makes you think we're running out of water? Well, where does it all go? There's a lot of uses for it. So anyway, and just to give you a little preview, we're going to make a plug for this a little bit later this evening. We need help with this. And if there are any people out there that love to write and like to do research, then you should come and talk to us because
And want to live forever on the pages of the Wikiwai.
yeah, yeah, we could use more help putting these together. Water news. So this is a chance for us to communicate to the public, what is happening. So for instance, let's say, the land board makes a decision about revocable permits. And so when we hear about that, we will try to distill that down into, a friendly article in terms of what this might mean to you as a stream user, what it might mean to Maui in general, and um, things like that. So
Or an upcountry farmer, or, anyone who's connected to these decisions that are being made in Honolulu. We were trying to do the people-friendly version of what happened. Because most of us, some of us can watch online, but most of us are busy and just can't track all this stuff. And then one day we find out that some decisions have been made that kind of really affect us.
yeah,
And yeah, so it's like a listing. It's like a listing online, like current events, and then links to recordings of different meetings and synopsis of meeting. It depends how many people we have to write. If we have more people to write stuff up, we can post more stuff. you
yeah,
know?
this is something we need help with also.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And if people have events that they know about, if they could just go to, Wikiwai.org and say, hey, this event's coming up, are you going to post it? So that way, eventually, maybe 2 years from now or whatever, a lot of people will know, God, if I want to know what kind of water meetings are coming up, I just look at this one place, because these guys are like just kind of combing the seas, of the media to post things that have to do with water issues or water decisions.
a lot of people would actually call this a blog, but we treat it as news. So, but it's functionally the same thing.
Yeah, it's a weblog. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just as an example to try to help ground, why you might be interested in the Wikiwai website, I tried to put together a couple scenarios. So for instance, where does our water come from and where does it all go? Let's say you had that question. Maybe you got it in a class and you have to do a research paper on it, or maybe you're just curious about it, or maybe you want to reply to an environmental impact statement. I don't know. But so how would you go about using the Wikiwai website to answer this question? So the you know requires a little bit of knowledge here. And the first bit of knowledge is every 10 years, the county is required to provide a document called the Water Use Development Plan, WUDUP.
Sometimes it takes 30 years. Sometimes it takes 30 years for that
Oh,
document.
yeah.
But it is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is, and it is not always totally correct, but it is a great resource for finding out, what is the kind of the overall picture for water. And it is a really, really good for finding out who is using water, because they are in charge of distributing water. So they have extensive statistics available about, which community on the island is using how much water, and furthermore, how that's going to grow in the future. So that would be the side of where does the water go. But there's this other question of where does it all come from? So the document goes into, I think I'm off the document there. But anyway, documents on the Wikiwai website go into great detail about sources of water. And probably the place that you would start with that are the maps, because the maps have all the streams and have all the wells. And then using either the WUDUP or other resources on the website, you could drill down to find out how much each one is producing, and then balance You know, what is the production versus what is the consumption and what is the difference? Now, of course, Mahipono is an element in that because they are a major consumer of water. And, you know, normally they probably wouldn't be involved in the county Department of Water Services, except for they provide water to the county
Yeah.
Department of Water
For
Services.
our
So
country.
it means that those two are joined at the hip. And so, but as it is, we have EMI water usage figures also from the data that they provided to us, and that's also available on the Wikiwai website.
Yes, a lot of people do wonder, how much water from East Maui is Mahipono using? And they actually produce a report every quarter, and they actually send it to the State Land Board. They don't post it on any Maui website, so we're posting it on a Maui website because it is a public document, and it's a little kind of clunky to read, but it's interesting to see how much water is actually going to the crops, how much goes to the county, how much goes to the county ag park, how much sits in reservoirs, how much has no accountable use per se. And those figures are produced every quarter and they cover 3 months at a time. And they're fairly, precise. So you can sort of see the trends. They also report how much well water from the private well system that Mahipono inherited from the HCNS plantation, how much of that well water is pumped each month, and the quality of the well water, whether it's really salty or not so salty. So none of this was data that was available like 10 years ago very easily, but because of this new reporting requirement that the land board has, gradually asked for more and more information, there is now a lot for us to understand about what's actually the largest private water system on Maui. It's the largest private water system in the state, probably one of the largest ones in the country, because of the amount of water that those ditches can carry. And they have 15 wells in central Maui as well that are under the, purview of one company. So that's a whole lot of water information just right there. And very interesting. Some of these wells date back to the early part of the 20th century. They were experimental wells to find different ways to provide, reliable water supply to, a big plantation. So lots of cool stuff in there. And I have to admit, a little bit kind of dry reading sometimes. So we are looking for people that like to
Like
read
dry reading.
these dry reports and maybe make kind of the people-friendly, synopsis of it, like hey, this quarter's report basically says that point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. Yeah, did you have a question, Claire?
Um, this is all wonderful information, but practically speaking, I honestly don't know what you're talking about because I can't see the documents or the maps that you're talking about. Like you said, where does my water come from?
Yeah. Yeah, we're
What
not,
does it look like when you look on the map? And I mean, I might look on a map and I don't really know what would I look for to know what I'm looking for?
you'd,
But
you'd
where does
probably,
the water come from?
you'd probably first look at the county. We have maps that show the various counting systems, the system for Wailuku, the system for Upcountry, the system for Lahaina. And it shows which wells the county has. And it's a diagram. But right now, no one does any kind of a report on, here is a visual slideshow of where, well, I kind of try to every year when I address classes here at the college. I try to show some pictures of, to give the students a sense of, where water originates. But yeah, it's not too well explored a topic. And yet it is a question, you're right, that's on everybody's mind. But in general, if you are in the upcountry system, your water comes from streams in East Maui. It doesn't usually come from only one stream, but if you're on a certain level In other words, if you are in Upper Kula, your water probably comes from the county's Upper Kula pipeline, which diverts 3 streams. And then that might be supplemented by some water from the Pocatello well. But yeah, it's hard to tease this stuff out. There's not simple documents that explain things in a clear manner. So consequently, you know, we could take all the data that's there and try to synthesize some things that have, you know, a quick peek at where your water comes from if you live in Pukalani, or a quick peek where your water comes from if you live in Wailuku. That would be possible to do with different pieces of information that are on this website. But the website does not have like one thing you could click that would show all that.
Yeah.
So more to come, you know, there's enough info out there that could be done. It just hasn't. There are very lengthy, wordy things like the Water Use and Development Plan talks about that for pages and pages and pages. But most people are lost just by, you know, it's so technically, the language is technical and the information is spread over many pages. So it's not like the simple synopsis. There are a few simple synopses in the Water Use and Development Plan. Might be good just to try to take those and make them into like 1-page documents. So I don't have to wade through 100 pages to find that 1 page, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely an element of having an idea of which document to look in for what you're looking for.
That's why I
It's
think
hard to
we need to do
distill all
more.
that down.
Yeah, we need to do more hands-on things where people can click on it themselves, see what comes up, and then ask other questions. You know, this is just sort of a start to get people used to the idea that the website exists.
Yeah. Again, a little bit of a preview for what's coming up. You know, we are looking for some additional technical help, volunteers, or perhaps even
Someone would
a
pay
funded
a
position.
stipend or something, you know, interns like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and we one of the positions we're calling a data technician, and that person would, among other things, would try to find better, newer ways to search. For instance, you know, you can search on your own computer, and it actually goes and opens up every document and you know, scans it and finds the keywords that you're looking for. So we don't have that sophisticated of a level of searching on the Wikiwai website right now, but it is something that is technically very possible.
Mhm.
But we just need some more horsepower to implement it. So that would definitely help with what you're bringing up.
Yeah, so it's in a far from perfect state. It's in a beginning state now. So this is the beginning conversation.
So another example, let's say I need a map for a report, and of course we've talked about this, so this is just kind of a rehash what we talked about. There's a section in the resource library that is devoted just for maps. And the maps are further subdivided into different organizational means. But one thing nice that we can do with the maps that we can't really do with a big thick document is we could take a thumbnail
Yeah.
picture of it. And so, you know, the map organization of the resource library does have thumbnails for each map. So you get at least a rough idea of what the thing is going to look like and whether to open it up and take a closer look at it or move on to something else.
This is a question a lot of people are asking themselves, you know, like how sustainable is our water system? How sustainable is our water future? How sustainable is the policies that we have for using water? You know, lots of folks say, gee, are we using water efficiently? Or are we using potable water for purposes that don't really benefit human consumption. It's just landscape or swimming pools or something else. So these are questions that some of the research papers that we have posted do deal with at least the background for some of these topics. Like, for instance, the county publishes a report every year on how much water it distributes, and it breaks it down by region. So you can go to that report, and if you're curious, you can see how much water people who live in McKenna use compared to how much water people who live in Kahului use. That's all there in this report every single year. And we have reports going back, I don't know, to 2015 or something, but going back 10 years or more. And you can see, who used to use more water and uses less water now, what region of Maui. Do farmers use a ton of water? There's a whole breakdown on how much water the county provides for agricultural users. So, instead of having a lot of kind of urban myths, you could go and get actual data on this kind of stuff. And then your inquiry is sort of based on some factual information, and you can figure out, well, knowing that, should we invest in more water for farmers? Because it seems like they're using their, they're producing a lot of crops and they don't use that much water compared to the luxury resorts in the south side where they don't grow anything anybody can eat. So there's a lot of ways you can find information and then use that information to decide how sustainable our practices are now, how sustainable our ways of managing water are.
So that is largely the state of Wikiwai as it exists today. And so just a preview of what's coming up. As Lucienne has mentioned, we are really focused on East Maui, Haiku, upcountry, but we hope to extend this to West Maui and Navaeha. And so that's a major focus area for us. Very similar idea, organized documents. It'll, I'm not sure if this is going to become too weighty, but we'll face that as we move forward. Better searching. So that was the question we had from the audience. How do you know what to look for until you've looked at every document? And, I think that we need to pay attention to that and provide as many different ways of searching as possible. Different people have different. I'm a browser. I of course use Google and I try to look things up with keywords, but I'm kind of a geek and I like to browse through things and see, oh, what's in this document and so forth. So, but different people have different ways of doing things, and I think it is important for us to be able to accommodate all those different ways of getting a job done. So more documents, even for East Maui, we have about 300 documents up there right now, and we easily have 300 more to add. And it's just work to get everyone up there. When we go to organize the document, and decide which category does it fit under, it requires a certain amount of dry reading.
Yeah.
Luciana was mentioning.
Where does this go? I better read it first.
Yeah. So there's a bit of that. And then, as we talked about earlier, more educational tracks. I mean, there's just so many things we could talk about. Luciana and I were talking last night, and she was saying, we don't have enough about water storage, and we really need to hit that topic. So there's another one that's not even on our radar yet, but soon will be. And then, of course, suggestions. We're doing this for you, the public, you, the user. So we really need to hear back, and it's not just suggestions on what you'd like to hear, but or see on the website, but also, are there organizational mechanisms that you think we would benefit from using to make it a little bit easier to find documents? Or do you have suggestions on a search mechanism or whatever? You know, we're open for all of it.
Or do you have old documents or papers or things like that that you're just hanging on to that you'd love to just see scanned and, you know, more widely available to people too? So it's a chance to get rid of the clutter in your house and have things in some useful format at some point.
So you can send email with any suggestions or questions or whatever to info@wikiwai.org
Mhm.
and it'll get to us.
And I told people if you're watching online and you have suggestions this very evening, if you want to just text me, I think I have my number up on one of the slides here. Do
Yeah,
I?
I think it's
Do you have
coming
this in
up.
the next one?
Uh,
Okay, not yet, but anyway, my number's on one of the next slides, and you can just text and you know, then talk to Scott, talk to the rest of the team, and see what we can do to you know, incorporate people's suggestions, because this is it's a community-based resource, so it's not just our ideas. We're just, you know, kind of some hands that are willing to be moving right now.
Yeah, so the kinds of roles that we were looking to fill, data technician is a little bit probably more technical, and this person would be doing a certain amount of reading of of our famous dry docks.
Yes, dry dock reading.
But also, you know, the person's gonna, you know, have to, you know, do some thinking and think, well, you know, how about we had another way to organize docs and, you know, come up with new ideas that will help the user find things. A community events coordinator. So, you know, we're kind of the interface between all these public, you know, official government organizations and the public to make sure that the public is aware of what the land board is doing and what the water commission is doing. And
And sometimes when you get their schedules, you'd have no idea if you would ever be interested in anything. It's pretty obscure the way things are described in a lot of these official agendas. So our hope is that whoever did this could read an agenda and go, let me open the link there. Oh my gosh, this is to give away, you know, this tract of forest where a stream is. I better tell people about it, you know. So this could be a very worthwhile volunteer or even, you know, paid intern position for somebody, and looks great on your resume, you know, like you worked for, you know, 6 months or a year doing this important function, and you learn a lot too. You learn a lot from doing any of these kinds of tasks. They're really good to broaden your job skills.
and our a writer. We call it a blog, but this is essentially the news articles and the educational tracks. So, you know, anybody who likes to write. Did you want to talk about the funding at all, Lucy?
Well, just, you know, we have been made aware that there is some funding available for these kinds of efforts because they're useful. So we would need to connect through different organizations, but let's see if we find the right people and they're, you know, they're not able to volunteer their time, but need some support, financial support. We can figure out how that could happen. The main thing is we need people who are interested, who would like to be part of, you know, creating a little history here on Maui. And there's my phone number, 808-214-0147. So if you have, if you're watching tonight and you have ideas and you just want to communicate directly with the person, you can either go to info@wikivi or .org, or you can text this number and, you know, start the conversation. And do any of our folks here in the audience have any questions that you would like us to answer or elucidate on? No? Have we bored you completely? No? Are you stunned? Well, obviously, there's a reason no one ever did this before, because it's a bit of a challenge to put together, a one-stop, you know, uh, a research portal for a very, very broad topic, a topic that touches on so many different aspects of our lives and has so many moving parts. There's the policy part, there's the history part, there's the biology part, there's the cultural part. So we just have to chip away at it and try to do the best we can to make it easy for people to understand more about the water that every single one of us depends upon. Oh, well, if there's no further questions, we do have pizza for everybody. And thank you to folks who tuned in tonight, and do visit us at our wiki portal, and do check in with us at wikiwai.org. And we look forward to see where this ends up a year from now. Hopefully we'll have at least another part of the island, and maybe two parts of the island up in data. And maybe we'll kind of have some workshops that are more like click, 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 hands-on, looking for things and helping people look for things, so that people get used to using the website for, people maybe who don't spend all their time doing research like Scott and I do. We're a little bit of wonks, so we're going, oh man, this is so cool. But, for the average person who's not out there on the web trolling for all this information all the time, they might go, wow, I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm interested, but where would I start? So hopefully we can answer some of those questions too, and do more outreach for people that's hands-on. But we appreciate this opportunity. The college has just been great. Maui College, yay, a true center of higher learning. And they have great facilities here, and they've been wonderful hosts. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to Megan Jones, the professor here who set up the logistics for this event. She's a little under the weather, so we wish her speedy recovery. And we hope to see you all at some other event. We're going to have a little bit of discussion of this at Earth Day at Maui College. We'll have a if we can get internet, we'll have some sort of an interactive thing where people can play with the website a little bit and look for stuff. That's our hope. And we'll be at some other events coming up. We're sponsoring a forum at the end of April in South Maui, talking about what's in the South Maui Community Plan. This is a Sierra Club sponsored forum. And of course, water will be one of those topics, because what's in the community plan and what we have water for are at a very different level right now. So lots of thought to give to water, and I'm sure you all understand that there is no new water ever being created in our world. We are using the same water that people thousands and thousands and thousands of years use. It just recycles through the hydrological cycle. So we're the key to having a better water future. Thank you all.
Lucian and Scott, someone had a question. She doesn't have a question. She had a comment.
Okay.
But there is a Zoom recording with Dick Mayer about upcountry water by the Kula Community Water Association. And the person was shocked to learn how much water we have, but are not distributing it, and gave a link to the Zoom recording that I can pass on to you folks.
Okay, do that. Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is when people think we have a lot of water because of some of the maps that are in reports like the Water Use and Development Plan, they didn't read the kind of the researcher's caveat. The caveat says these water figures for sustainable yield of all these different aquifers on Maui, for the most part, are estimates and should not be seen as water that is actually available and actually usable. So people see the map and they say, oh my God, look at that, can I? 60 million gallons a day of water, underground water, not stream water, underground water. Wow, we don't have any water problems. Look at all the water they have KNI. Look at all the water they have Haiku. Look at all the water they have out in Nahiku. But what those maps don't say is that no one has studied those waters to know if that is a guesstimate or anything that approaches reality. And there is one of the studies that we have posted on the wiki, which I think we do need to have maybe some teasers on some of these things because they're kind of dry studies otherwise. Like, hey, you want to find out how the water in Nahiku and Kenai is different from all the other groundwater on Maui? Well, it is. In Kenai and Nahiku area, the streams and the groundwater are like one layer. There's not like separate layers of lava rock that have a deep aquifer and then a more near the surface aquifer that the streams cut into. Instead, the streams cut into the entire water table. And that's why so much stream water comes from those parts of Maui. Huge amounts of stream water have been diverted from those parts, you know, like 15, 20 million gallons a day when it's, you know, running really high can come from even one stream out there. Very water rich because the groundwater is emptying into the streams. And there are a few wells out there, and the wells have some water in them, but the wells, it's like you couldn't pump those wells for huge amounts of water. In fact, you go to Hanatown, their wells, they have to kind of pump one and then pump another one because the one gets too salty. And you think, Hanatown, I mean, it's like this is the place of rain, but the groundwater doesn't behave that way. It doesn't behave like we always think it should. So the more that we can study and learn from the studies and learn from our kupuna, learn from the people who have lived in these areas for generations and have generational stories. Generational stories are really based on keen observation. And our researchers from USGS are also observers, but generally they get to be in the field for a week or a month, whereas we have stories from people who have spent, you know, 100 or 200 years of their family living in the same valley. So their perspective is a little bit different. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see this tape, see, you know, where it fits with our whole presentation. I don't think we have too much that has sound or anything with it on the website now, do we, Scott? Do we have anything that's like a recording
have
of a meeting
YouTube.
or something?
YouTube videos.
We have links to YouTube, yeah. But there are many people who claim to know that there's, you know, huge amounts of water on Maui, and maybe there are, but so far there isn't a complete scientific study that has, you know, shown that to be true. There have been a lot of theories, but they haven't panned out. So we need to make sure that we are basing these kind of, you know, running after water decisions on the best data that we can get. More test wells, more observation wells. They have observation wells all over Oahu. People go, oh, look at all the water the Oahu uses, you know. Well, yeah, they really manage it. They have a lot of test wells, a lot of monitor wells, and they get scared if they start to see the salt level goes up. They reduce their pumping. And they've cut back a lot on their water use, even though their population has grown because they've had to in Oahu. They really have to manage their aquifers and not overpump them. So we are learning, we're all learning, we all have to live on this little island together. So the more we can learn, the better off we are. Any other comments or questions, Deanna, that came in?
Nope.
Okay, well, I think we're ending a little bit early, but we have completed our soft launch. We have completed our try it out on the world for the Wikiwai website, and really grateful to anybody who joined in tonight. All right.